Hello, my name is Tom Aldous. I'll be talking about why DITA is superior with FrameMaker 2015. Please take note of my email address. This presentation is only an hour long, and the topic that I have is so wide and deep. I could actually talk about this, and I do talk about this typically for 5 days straight with our major clients. They usually fly into our office wherever I am, if it's Massachusetts or Florida, and they spend 5 days, and we go through the particulars of this. So I'll try to squeeze it in within an hour, but feel free to reach out to me with any questions that you'll have. Just to give you a little background about myself, if you don't know who I am. I started off my career in this particular market. I spent about 20 years as managing partner of the largest XML FrameMaker training organization in the globe. Its name was Integrated Technologies. I was the managing partner. We had close to 50 people, a little more than 50 people that worked for us. And what that meant was I got an opportunity to implement FrameMaker in XML, HTML formats in very large organizations. Nuclear power plants, electric companies, rocket companies, airlines, government agencies. Really large. So I've done this from small to large implementations. And the thing that's important with that is if you've ever heard someone say that Frame doesn't have the ability to do something or that it's hard to do, it's only because you're talking to somebody who's never done it before. They don't have any experience. Usually it's a quick answer to get something done. I hate to see people struggle, but they do, especially when the answer is quite easy. After leaving 20 years with Integrated Technologies, I joined Adobe, and I was the product evangelist. So, Stefan, I started out and I had your job, and it was a whole lot of fun. Got to travel around the globe and talk about FrameMaker, the Tech Communication Suite, RoboHelp, help grow their business, get people to understand what the product can actually do, which in some cases really surprise people because there's a lot of misinformation that floats around out there with other vendors. I got a promotion while I was with Adobe, and I ended up being director of the TechComm business development and evangelism and consulting. After doing 2 years with Adobe, I went over to Acrolinx, and I was their senior vice president of global operations, grew that business. After 2 years investing out in my stock, I started the company that we're currently in, the Content Era. So I'm the founder and CEO of the Content Era. Really did a full 360 and going back to what I love most, and that is implementation and consulting. XML implementation mostly, HTML on occasion. A lion's share of the business is FrameMaker and Adobe, but we also are business partners with Oxygen and all major players within the industry, all the different component content management systems. My model is a little different. Some consulting companies choose not to partner with any manufacturers, software manufacturers. I choose to partner with them all, and there's a reason for that, and that's so I can work closely with them. And when you have an issue with an implementation, I can go directly to the source, and they respond to me quite nicely because I'm a major partner of theirs. So that's a little different than most. But at the Content Era, we decided we're going to up the ante a little bit. You're going to be hearing from Young Grat tomorrow. I highly suggest that you make his presentation. Young's our Chief Technical Officer. He's one of the best programmers that I know personally. Java, ExtendScript, XSLT. It's not just programming. He has a creative mind. So basically, he makes FrameMaker in just generic XML do backflips. I've never seen anybody do anything quite like Young. He's able to speed up processes, do the impossible, and you really should check out his presentation. I also have added on, there's 6 of us at our company right now. We've been at it for about 2 years, and we're growing. Very large implementations. But today, let's talk about why DITA is superior with FrameMaker, and it truly is in many ways. It really just is a question of you understanding the technology, and most don't, right? They just don't have that depth of experience, so they really can't appreciate it. But FrameMaker 2015 supports DITA 1.2, and 1.1, and also the specializations for 1.3. And those versions are upward compatible. So you could start off with 1.1, you can upgrade to 1.2 and 1.3. You can't go backwards. But Frame supports it all. In fact, I'm going to show you something really special that we created using FrameMaker as the authoring environment. We used DITA 1.3 to get that accomplished. Very interesting situation. One of the things that I really like about FrameMaker, and it's got to do with change management. Most executives at organizations, the one thing that they really get concerned about is change management. How are the people that work for our organization, how are they going to embrace this move? And most of the time it's a move from unstructured Word or unstructured frame over to DITA or XML. And the nice thing about FrameMaker is you've got this WYSIWYG authoring mode. So it's what you see is what you get if you're publishing PDF. But Frame does a whole lot more than publishing PDF, but most people think that way. If they've used Word or unstructured Frame in the past, they're going to feel really comfortable with FrameMaker moving forward. And it's really got to do with some techniques. It's how you implement it. And if you implement it well, you can really leverage, especially if you have unstructured Frame knowledge. Basically, if you know how to make a template in unstructured Frame, you can leverage that completely in an XML workflow. So your templates can be easily adhered to. You can publish and author within your templated mode, and then you can actually move from that if you choose to. So I really like that. And the nice thing about FrameMaker is it's easy enough for me to show you instead of just talking about it. So when I'm done with these quick slideware, I'm going to get in and do a live demo. So we're going to go live demo and show you all of this. So it isn't just a question of me talking about it. I'm going to show you all about it and how it all works. Now, one of the things that you want to do when you implement DITA is you want to constrain the elements. I mean, basically DITA has more elements than you could possibly ever want. It was built by a software company for software companies, and it was expanded from there. IBM built it for themselves, and then they gave it to the world. And then you may not be in a software company. You may work for an airline, or you may work for a manufacturing company, or you could work for just about any company and be able to implement DITA, but you're not going to need the same elements. So you need to constrain DITA. And one of the ways that you can constrain it is doing it through the DTD. And that does take a lot of effort. So it could be one of those cases where, you know, if you have a consultant in place, they could spend quite a long time constraining DITA with other authoring environments, just so your users don't have to be exposed to unwanted elements. I'm going to show you how easy it is to do within FrameMaker and how you can use conditional text to be able to switch between the full implementation, partial implementation. Really pretty slick how you can do those things. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do that throughout our presentations. DITA 1.2, 1.3, WYSIWYG publishing. Constraining is much easier. Cross-references, big difference with cross-references. So in DITA, it's an XREF, right? And when we save our XML content, we want to make sure that the cross-reference is an element called XREF. But with FrameMaker, you can leverage. If you're familiar with unstructured FrameMaker, you're very familiar with one of the strongest features of Frame in an unstructured environment, and that's giving you the ability to not just point to a piece of text and say, I want to have a link to this particular spot, but to be able to take that link and then create formats based upon the link itself. So show me the text, tell me what page it's on, add some text like see more information, or just give me an auto number. You can have multiple different cross-reference formats, and that's nice about unstructured Frame, but you can do that with FrameMaker, with DITA, and still be able to save it back to to an XREF in your XML format. So I'm going to show you how that works, really slick. So that means anything that you create within with FrameMaker from a DITA perspective, be DITA maps, topics, even composite documents, those files can be opened and edited in any authoring package because FrameMaker is standard adherent. But it will be able to do more, especially with cross-reference. I'll show you where it is. We store a format name and an attribute. It really looks good, very interesting. You can have multiple different formats. If it's a PDF document, if it's an HTML5 document, if it's a print document, you want to have that dynamic cross-reference. I'll show you how that happens within FrameMaker. So the other thing that happens quite a bit is moving from unstructured to DITA. Now, there's multiple ways of doing it. We have partners who have software implementations. They do these generic conversions from, unstructured Word or unstructured FrameMaker, and they create this generic topic, and they take a swag at it. Well, with FrameMaker, you can have an exact, precise conversion based upon the inherent structure that you had in your unstructured document. But you can have the exact same look and feel of your content from pre-conversion to post. And I'll show you that. And basically what you can do is you can mix unstructured, structured, XML, data maps, all within your book. So you can slowly convert your content a chapter at a time, a section at a time. You can do the whole book if you wanted to, and you're able to publish along the way. So that is something extremely unique with FrameMaker. I'm going to do a very, very quick demo of that. I know that you get another presentation later, but we built some tools to get that done even faster. So I do want to show you what those tools look like. So basically, Frame has a complete toolkit for what you need. Outside of authoring and publishing, it comes with that conversion table I was telling you about, and that's the ability to be able to convert from unstructured to XML, whatever structure you want, be it DITA or even a custom structure, it doesn't matter. Frame also supports XSLT, and you can attach a style sheet, XSLT, and that's how you actually transform XML from XML to HTML or XML to XML. So I can literally transform XML from one structure to another. I can actually hide pieces of the XML. I can do some pretty interesting things with XSLT, and Frame allows you to do that on open of an XML file and on close. And it also allows you to just generically work with XSLT on any file in its XML view. Really, really interesting stuff. Extend script. You got to have this in your toolkit. This is how young Grat really makes the magic work here at the Content Era. Extend script is really just JavaScript with Adobe classes. So basically, there's callouts that you can leverage different Adobe Creative Suite products, FrameMaker itself, RoboHelp. You can go within FrameMaker and you can call out. Say, let's just talk about a graphic. Maybe you wanted to call out Illustrator, transform the graphic in Illustrator and bring it back into FrameMaker without the user actually knowing that that's what happened. As long as you have Illustrator on your system, Extend script can make that happen. Really cool. And also the Frame Developers Kit, the legacy way of creating plugins, it's still in place too, and there's a lot of power with that also. So, authoring makes it easy for the user, especially if they worked in an unstructured environment. Not that many people just immediately start authoring in XML. If you wanted to, there's this generic look that you can have, just like any other XML editor, so you can just have generic, doesn't matter what it looks like. But for those of us who've been authoring for quite a long time, WYSIWYG makes a huge difference in making it easy for us to be able to work with our content, still creating this XML content that can be used with any other authoring environment or publishing environment that you want. But with FrameMaker, you also get publishing built in. So you know that template I was telling you about, that unstructured template that you might have started with? Well, you could use that for publishing. I'll show you a perfect example of converting real quick an unstructured document and bringing it back into the exact same look and feel without losing anything in doing that publish. And it has a very unique way of publishing data maps. So if you wanted to publish with the open source toolkit, you have to create some XSLT style sheets to create the XSLTFO that's required for publishing the PDF. It takes some very specialized skills. It's very expensive, and it's almost like if you had Arbor text and you had a FOSSI and you decided you wanted to make a change to a PDF, you'd say, wow, that's going to be way too expensive. I don't want to bring in a consultant to do it because it's going to take forever. So they end up living with the same look and feel forever. With FrameMaker, it's very easy to be able to make modifications to your look and feel, be it fonts or maybe logos or the layout of a page. Real easy to do. It's very similar to unstructured FrameMaker in quite a few ways if you implement it correctly. And that's the big deal. You got to do it correctly. But if you do have an investment in the open source toolkit, FrameMaker will allow you to publish straight from FrameMaker using the open source toolkit. I'll show you the example of that too. So I'll publish the same DITA map that gets converted both with the Frame native publishing and the open source toolkit. And when it comes to the publishing, it's not just PDF. You can publish EPUBs, HTML5, native apps. So if you want an installable application for your iOS device or your Android device, that's not an issue. You certainly can do that. And the nice thing about that is you can be detached from the internet and still get your content. And when you do get into to the internet, it will just prompt you if you posted up a newer version. It will say, do you want to download an update to your application? So real slick how that works. I really do like how that is. And you can also publish the more legacy help files and things like that. And of course, you do not need to have RoboHelp. You can do it within FrameMaker. Now, if you want the Tech Communication Suite, there's a whole bunch of tools that are going to make your job a whole lot easier. But if you're looking at just doing a publish of your XML content to PDF to HTML5, making minor modifications to the HTML5 template, that's not a problem. You can do it. When you want to start making additional changes to the template, and if you wanted to output to more formats, you certainly should pick up the Tech Communication Suite. But you certainly can get going, and I'll show you that also. So I told you that one of the things that we did with FrameMaker and DITA 1.3 was we created our website with XML. At the content area, we believe that all content should be in XML format, and everything else is just a published format. So XHTML, PDF, HTML5. Well, why wouldn't a website be exactly the same thing? So I challenged Young, and I said, Young, we really should be able to dynamically produce our website from a data map with all its individual topics. And he came back and he created a masterpiece. So if you go to our website, www.thecontentera.com, everything that you see on that website, I'm talking about dynamic video, all the graphics, everything about it. It's basically generated from a data map, and all the topics. You can make edited changes in FrameMaker. I'll show you a quick demo of that. So when it comes to publishing, you have a lot of different things. You can publish outside of FrameMaker. You can publish in FrameMaker. You can use the open source toolkit. You can edit all the content that's in DITA format within FrameMaker because it is adhering to the standard, and that means that it doesn't matter what authoring environment that you use. You should only use the one that's easiest for your people to use, and does it leverage DITA in ways that other authoring environments can't. And that's what I'm talking about when it comes to cross-references at the very least, but there's a whole lot more. But seeing is believing, I'll get into it. So the other thing that we do quite a bit besides just converting unstructured content to DITA using conversion tables, we can go from any kind of custom structure. So if you're currently in XML, but it's maybe some kind of derivative of XDocBook. We see that a lot with Arbortext customers. Some of our bigger customers, there are customers that were using Arbortext and decided they wanted to go to a more modern authoring environment and publishing environment. So we developed style sheets to convert XDocBook and derivatives of XDocBook straight to DITA maps and its topics. So you can just bring it in and publish. Everything is still in place. The XREF, cross-references, it's beautiful. It doesn't take time. Since you're talking about a structured environment, as long as it's valid XML content, you can transform it into a DITA. It's not a difficult thing. If you are looking to do something like that, I would love to show you how it's done. So definitely reach out to me. I'll show you how that works. All right. So moving from unstructured to XML and publishing is something that is normal. But I said earlier, you could have a book and say you wanted to transition, right? can you stop publishing? Can you just tell the people, the engineers, the product managers at your company and say, hey, listen, we can't publish for the next couple of months because we're going to be converting our content. So there's a vacuum, you're going to just stop. In most worlds, that doesn't fly. And with FrameMaker, you don't have to. Basically, what you can do is you can use the frame book. You can convert one chapter at a time. So convert it from unstructured to structured frame to a composite XML document, from a composite XML document to a DITA map. You can publish all along the way and have mixed content. You can mix those contents and still be able to publish, and you never lose a step along the way. So very powerful. I'll show you that too. When it comes to authoring, you got three different ways of doing it. There's the WYSIWYG mode that I was telling you about. What you see is what you get. It's very familiar to people who use unstructured FrameMaker or Word. It really makes authors very, very comfortable in the transition. But there's also author XML mode. So basically, what that does is it takes your XML content and it puts it into a forms-based environment. So users don't have to worry about what's valid where. Basically, they just can go into the form and start typing, save the document. It's valid DITA content. You can switch back to WYSIWYG mode if you want to and author in that. So you could have subject matter experts going out there authoring in author XML mode, which is forms-based. They produce the topics. They hand it off back to you if you're the technical communicating specialist. And you can open it up in WYSIWYG mode if you want, piece it together, put your DITA map together and publish. No problem. Now, if you're like me or Young or Tiffany on our team, and you like to get right into the XML code, well, Frame allows you to author in the pure XML mode, and you can do quite a bit with XPaths and XSLT. I've configured it so I can actually create XSLT and DTD modifications and schemas. Very nice. You can switch back to the WYSIWYG mode from all of these places. So you're not stuck with just one mode. So it isn't that, Frame supports unstructured, structured, and XML content. But from an XML standpoint, it supports WYSIWYG mode, this forms-based mode, and pure XML mode. So you've got it all within one package. And it does publishing. So it's like this all-in-one monkey wrench tool that's just phenomenal. The other thing is it has really tight integration with most DITA CCMSs. And we heard a little bit earlier, and I know Dustin showed off AAM's add-in, where it really makes AAM's web content management system into a full-fledged DITA component content management system. So what that means is that if your team has AAM and it's being used in the marketing group, with this add-on, you can get full capabilities, DITA component content management capabilities, and it has an in-browser editor too. So it's a really strong offering, and Frame integrates directly into AAM with this add-in. And the nice thing about it is if you have this review workflow, you can actually have people doing a web-based review in AAM with this web browser instance, and there's a special integration with FrameMaker, so comments can be seen directly within Frame. Really slick on how they leverage, having Frame in the family. So there's special integration with FrameMaker and AAM. I really like it. I've had an opportunity to integrate it already, really early. So it really is pretty nice. Here's my contact information. Definitely write it down. You see our website, go visit it. Know that it's XML content. I'm going to show you, because I have that website running locally on my system. I'll show you how that works. If we're not linked in, let's link in. You got my email address. Connect up with me, because I'm going to do this live demo, but it's not even close to enough time for what we really want to be able to accomplish. But let's get started with the demonstration. So, Stefan, how are we doing so far? All right.
We're doing good. We have about 20 minutes left or something.
Yeah, it looks like it's 25 past, so don't be taking any of my time. It's about 35 minutes. Now, I wanted to make sure the audio is working fine, my friend. All right, so this is, let me just show you a quick demonstration. We've got some pretty interesting stuff here that we lined up. So I have some samples, and I have frames started here. So when I was telling you that you're able to mix your content, unstructured, structured, and XML content, here's an example of that. So basically, here's an unstructured document. Now, I made it so it's looking a little bit strange because I had to make it, because it had some information that I couldn't share with the audience. So I basically substituted vowels out for X's. But you get to see the flow. So this is an unstructured document. If I were to show you the structured view, what you'll see is exactly nothing. This is unstructured. But what I did do was I imported a EDD. So there's no structure, I imported an EDD. Now, if I were to open up the structure, the same content, you'll notice that the same exact look and feel, even when it comes to conditional tags, it gets converted straight over. So here's our structured view. And basically what I did was I made a composite document from the unstructured document. And then I saved it as XML. And remember I was telling you that we apply XSL style sheets on save? Well, that's what you have to do with FrameMaker. It will get you about 90% to the where you want to be when it comes to the conversion to DITA. But there's some things that are very uniquely DITA that Frame's going to have you do. And extend scripts is an excellent way to make those changes, and also XSLT. So we do a little bit of both. So here's this XML file. So here's the XML file. It looks exactly the same. We're mixing it up. So picture your chapters, chapter 1, 2, 3, having this mixture, cover page, table of content. They're all good. Now, I told you that you have the ability to go into the XML view, so I'll show you that it is XML content. So here's the XML content that we converted. So nothing up my sleeve. This content is exactly XML, and I literally could change any of the content if I wanted to from a textual standpoint, because it is what you would say content that is in XML format. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a little quick addition here. I'll make a save. I'll go back to WYSIWYG view, and it will be nicely styled again in WYSIWYG view. And it will see, here's my addition right here. So anything that I do in XML will flow over to the WYSIWYG view because FrameMaker is a full XML package. So I was telling you about cross-references. Here's a cross-reference right here. And here's a cross-reference. It's a XREF. So basically in the XML, when I went to XML, let's go take a look. I'm going to go search on XREF. So basically you're going to see, here's an XREF right here. And basically what you're going to be able to see is that there's an attribute with this XREF called output class. What this does is it stores the FrameMaker format if you want to have any kind of special formatting to your XREFs, just like your cross-references. So here's our content. Here's the format itself. And when FrameMaker starts up, it looks to an XREF, which is DITA, and it looks to see if there's an output class attribute that has an FM colon, and then the name of your cross-reference format. It exists. It will use it. So when I convert back over to the WYSIWYG mode, this right here is an XREF with the formatting, which is heading with tell me what page number it is. But I can have section numbers. I can format it any way I want. Now, if you want to do this with any other package, any other authoring environment, a publishing environment, it's not happening. It's not happening easily anyways. Maybe if you drop millions of dollars into programming, you could get accomplished, but you can do it natively right here in FrameMaker. This alone is absolutely amazing. If you want to just have XREFs, you can do that also. So let me show you, when you start up FrameMaker, if you go into DITA as a menu option, you'll see DITA options. And basically what you can do is, it says auto load XREFs on open. If you deselect that, FrameMaker will see your XREFs as simple XREFs, and it will just show the text just like it would any other authoring environment. But if you do select that, it will look to that output class and look to see if it's FM colon in the format name. And if it exists, it will format it quite nicely, your choice. You can turn on other things about FrameMaker, like conditionalizing the prologue, conditionalizing comments, done automatically. Frame automatically creates IDs when you create an element. All of these little things add up. When it comes to index markers, same thing. Frame's amazing when it comes to index markers, because you know how you may want to be able to have sub-indexes, like say region, and you want east, west, central, and you want it indented. Well, that's something unique that you probably did in unstructured frame. Don't worry. When you move to DITA, as long as you're using FrameMaker to author and to publish, you'll still be able to keep that exact same formatting. Those magical things you did with your indexes in unstructured frame, you'll still be able to do it even though you're in an XML workflow. And if you open it up with some other authoring package or somebody else in your organization does, don't worry, it's just going to be an index term marker. It will be handled the way they normally handle their markers. So no problem. But let me show you real quick exactly how I did this conversion to XML. It's so simple. It's easy. It's quick. So I'm going to do it for you. Basically, I'll do it. I won't go into great depth because I know you have something coming up. But here's our unstructured frame document. I'm going to open up a conversion table. I wrote this conversion table. And the thing that's unique about this is when people convert from unstructured frame or Word, usually what they do is they convert to only one topic type. But we have a scheme here at the content era, so you can actually have multiple different topic types. And I use XSLT to get that accomplished. So you'll see, I converted everything over to a task. And the reason why I did that is it's really the more complicated structure. But in the conversion table, I actually populated if it was a concept or a task or a reference ahead of time in the conversion table. So basically all I had to do is at the heading level, just uniquely tag the heading level, like C_H1 or R_H1. And that said that this is a reference or this is a concept. Assume everything else is a task. During the conversion, everything gets converted over. But if you notice, everything is a task right now. But what I do is on save to XML, I run a style sheet that changes all that. But what we did was we created a little toolbox for conversion. And this is this is extend script. So we can fix things like moving the table title from below T group to below table. So if you're familiar with the structure of DITA, you'll need to do that when you do the conversion. I can assign attributes. I could do that with a style sheet, but heck, since we have this toolkit, why not just assign IDs to the converted document? Now, if you create new topics, Frame will automatically create the ID for you. If you're converting, you have to assign a ID. So we got a little tool for that. We fix up cross-references to be the right format that's required. And then finally, what we do is we save the attributes for the graphics. So basically, we want to know what size and width. We want to keep it below current line if that's the case. We actually write the attributes from the graphic using extend script into the image file. So let me just show you what that means. And it's important that you do that so you actually get the right size of your graphic. So I'm going to go search for a graphic. I got to the graphic, and you notice this where it has height and width. That was written by our tool. Break means that it's below current line. And since that's done, what I can do is I can actually save this file. I'm going to save it to my desktop to make it real easy to find. And I'm just going to name this Adobe. How's that? So it's Adobe XML. And basically on save, I'm actually applying a style sheet that's looking for what's the topic type and what's the output class. Does it have a C? Does it have an R? If it does, transform it. So now watch. It used to be all tasks. So now when I open it again, you'll be able to see the structure transformed. And now I've made a composite document, one long file that actually has concept, tasks, references. So everything isn't just task anymore. We've got concepts, we've got tasks, we've got references, nested, all in a composite document. Here's an example of a nested task involved here. Here's a bunch of tasks. So what we do for this XML file, is we have a script that we run. And let me show you where the script is. Since you're talking about XML, you can run a lot of scripts. So basically, this is the script that I run on export. Not a difficult script to write. It's not that long. You'll see it's right here. And basically, we're doing little things like how do you handle the B element if it's in the wrong area? I can generate IDs if I didn't want to use our little tool. Here's where I can look to the output class and say, hey, this is a task or a reference or a concept and remap the structure. A little stuff like this. We also have a little style sheet on the way in to finish it up. But here's my burst script. So this is how we burst that composite document right here. This little burst script, we run this within FrameMaker and we create a data map. So this same content, let me just show you real quick what that looks like as a data map. And then I'm going to start doing some publishing and then we can actually open up the authoring environment. So I think you're going to like this a lot. So I'm going to go into here and I'm going to go into frame data map. Here's my burst content. Here's my data map. Now this data map is that composite document blown out to a full nested topics. Now frame, I was telling you that basically what it does is it takes this data map and what it will do is it will create a book in the background. So the book files or the generated files, unique page numbering, that cross-reference format that we like, indexes. Well, Frame can do all that on save to PDF. So I'm going to put this on my desktop too. And basically, it's not going to be very difficult. And while this is happening, I'll show you where this is going on. So basically what I did was I saved my structured subdirectory here on my desktop. And where XML is DITA, you'll see output template. Within here, this is where your output templates are stored. So you can have a separate template for your book title, for your chapter files, your sections, table of contents, your index. So it's all in place there. And basically, you can change the look and feel easily. Now, it's building up this book. It's going to ask what type of quality that I want for this output format. And all I do is say what quality it is, and it will create the book file. So here it's asking me what kind of quality do we want. It's compile the book. You'll look and see on the left-hand side, it compile the book in the background. Now, this is native out-of-the-box FrameMaker. We didn't do anything special for this. If you have data maps, you can immediately be doing this. Then I can open up this PDF document, and here is this content with a nice cover page, why DITA is better with FM5. Nice cover page, nice table of contents with all the hypertext links working. We've got our tasks, everything is beautifully laid out. Headers, footers. If you know how to make a modification to an unstructured frame template, you will easily be able to learn this. So you can make modifications to the PDF. Now, I told you that you could also create PDF right from the open source toolkit. So let me show you that since I have the data map open. Generate the OT. So basically, DITA OT, I'm going to say, let's save this. And I'm going to create a PDF. Now, anything that the open source toolkit, like Sarah was talking about man pages, it's actually something that you can do right with the open source toolkit. It's pretty cool from DITA to the open source toolkit. So you can actually call it out. Eclipse help, things like that. But here's the PDF document. So I'm going to save this and open up the output format. So this is the open source toolkit. Now, if you're a programmer, you can modify the look and feel of this, but I'll show you what it looks like. I have not modified the open source toolkit one iota, so this is out of the box open source toolkit stuff. So this will open up and I'll give you a look at what comes out of there. So if you've made the investment in the open source toolkit, feel free. You can leverage it with the FrameMaker, not a problem. You can publish doing it the way that I was showing you, where it creates this book dynamically without issue. Here's the PDF document. I'll open it up. So it's here. It's a little generic looking, but it's here. The headers footer is a little weak, but it's something here. And if you can program, you're okay. So you can do it if you have the investment already there. You might as well not walk away from it. You can actually leverage it. So if you have been using one of the weaker XML authoring environments, you can certainly author and publish within FrameMaker, or if you're just sick of having to pay for that modifications. The other thing that I heard Sarah talking about was specialization. Frame has this really nice tool for specialization. I remember I was with Adobe. There was a very large organization that was very deep into DITA, and they were having a difficult time specializing, bringing the specialized DTD into the publishing and authoring environment. I showed them this, and it just blew them away. It was an easy sale for Adobe to make. But basically, every specialization has a basic topic type. So the specialization that I'm going to show you is from actually a topic. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'll show you what it looks like and where it is. So if we go into here, a simple specialization is great. And actually specializing with DITA is really straightforward too. So you can actually use Frame and the EDD functionality to create the specialization for DITA. It's really, really nice and easy to do. So if you know how to create an EDD, then you know how to specialize, because it's really, really simple to do. But here's the specialization, right? And the one that we're going to have to do is we're going to have to remember just a couple of things, like what's the public ID for this specialization? So what we're going to do is we're going to open up the DTD file, because that's actually where the specialization is. I mean, the public ID. So here's the public ID that we're going to have. So we're going to have to remember that. And if we take a look at it, it was based upon the topic type. So the topic type. So basically what you can do is you can browse to where FrameMaker is got this structured subdirectory. So I put it on my desktop. It's where FrameMaker is loaded normally. You can redirect it to a server without issue. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to point this over to the rules file for topics. There's the topic rule file. I'm going to point to the EDD for the topic, which comes out of the box from FrameMaker. And I'm going to actually point to the template file for the topic type topic. Perfect, right? Now what I got to do is I got to paste in the public ID that I showed you. Let's navigate to where that DTD was. So we can just go over here into the base. This is the open source toolkit 1.2 DTD. And basically here's music. And basically I have to just pick a folder where I want all my setup files to go. And FrameMaker will do all the rest for me. It's really nice. So I made a little subdirectory called specialization. So I'm going to pop it there. I got to tell Frame what I want to call my rules file. My EDD, I'm not going to be very creative. I'm just going to call it rules and EDD and template. Let Frame do all the work. And I'm going to tell it, create these application files, all the setup files I need. I just say, okay. Frame will do the magic, no problem. And while this is happening, I will show you what I told you that I'd show you, this whole, how did we create our website from a DITA map edited with FrameMaker. So basically what I did was I started up our local, I haven't started it yet, so let's do that because I rebooted Accent. So I use Accent locally. So once that is all set, what I'll do is I will search. There you go. And here's my live local. And basically, here's our website running locally on our system here, my system here. And we have some nice graphics that are nested in. You'll see the hierarchy that's here. So let's go look at that XML content that made this site, and we'll make a change too. So let's go take a look at content. So we got Albert Einstein where it says great content. We'll make a change to that. I'll change the structure up here. You'll see how that works. But let's take a look. I'm all set with my specialization. So basically, what we can do is I'll put in the doc type, I put in the application name, and then we're all set. And basically, I'm at the point where I can just come in and say, I want to start a music collection as a new file. I'm going to call it that. It added it directly to my DITA map. And I told it what type, and now you've got this specialization. I can even author it and put it directly in. Here's test, no problem. Easy. Frame makes it easy. You don't just create the topics, it throws it into the DITA map, and it's the specialization. It was really, really simple to do. So let's go look at how we make our web page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch from DITA 1.2 to 1.3. So this is how you do it. That was so easy. DITA, options, 1.3, I hit save. Now I'm going to close FrameMaker. I'm going to reopen FrameMaker, and now I can author my website content. I told you it was just DITA content, and now I'm going to prove it. We have a cloud server that transforms it real time. So if you make a change to the XML content, it real time transforms our website. So basically, I'm going to go where I have right now, where I have XAMPP loaded, and here's HD docs sites. I showed you that, and here is TCEA live. So if I go into files, this is where our DITA map is with all the little DITA topics, and if I search as main, and basically we're opening up the map to our website. And I'll make a small change just so you can see it. Now, if you take a look, see the content area, we've got the home content structure services. If we take a look at the website, it says home content structure services. I'm going to move structure to content, a fairly simple thing to do if you're using Frame. So basically, I'm just going to move structure.DITA up in my DITA map, and then I'm going to save it. Now, the next time I go to our website, and I'm going to just regenerate our website, so I'm just going to hit it again, and what you see is we've got now home content structure. It's been switched around just by changing our DITA map. It is pretty cool and easy to do. So if I open up this content also, basically I can make a change to here. And in fact, I believe that I am in a different DITA map. So let's go to live DITA, switch it around. Oh, so it's live local. We'll come over and say live local. Make sure we have the right stuff. That's TCA live. We're going to say live local. There it is. So let's go back to this will be a little better. So I'm opening up this to the map. I have actually multiple renditions. So if I move structure up before there, I save it. Now I go back to our website and I regenerate it, and you'll notice structure moved. Now, content, if we take a look at it under this, you see great content. Now let's just change some aspect of that. So if I go to content, oh, I just opened up the wrong, just double clicked a little bit too soon. So I'm gonna open up content. And what you're gonna see is Albert Einstein. It says great content. I could say good content. Now I could change anything about this, the graphics, anything. When I save it, I go back to our website. Now I can even just switch and go back. So it's just a reread. We're reading the XML file. It's now been changed. So FrameMaker is now a website authoring package. So Frame doesn't just allow you to edit XML DITA content. It edits the XML DITA content that creates our website. So Stefan, what do you think of that? Did I lose you?
He's speechless, Tom.
That sounds great. Hey, so I'm going to actually stop sharing and take a look to see if we have any questions, because I'd love to answer any if there are any out there. So is there any questions that anyone has? I'm not aware of a connector for Alfresco was one question. I have quite a few customers. I have a large government entity called the GSA. They're our customer. We converted. If you go to acquisition.gov, all that content over there, and basically they're using Alfresco. And basically, you don't need to have a connector because Alfresco has WebDev as a protocol installed by default, and FrameMaker supports WebDev. So basically, what I'll do is I'll do a quick little switch over to, let me see if I can't, I guess I can't anymore. I was going to share my screen, but bottom line is if you go to File Open, like a file open, a file, you'll see Open URL. When you go Open URL, you can actually go to the WebDev location of Alfresco's WebDev, and you'll mount up the content in Alfresco. So like I said, if you're interested, just reach out to me. I can show you that too. So that's not a problem. Is there any other questions on anything that I've gone over? Did you see any, Stefan?
There's currently one just coming in. Where would we find more details on using XREF output class to modify output?
I couldn't understand you there. I'm sorry. What? More information about what?
Where would we find more detail on using XREF output class to modify output?
I don't know if there's anything documented, but if they, like I said, if they want to reach out to me, tom.aldous@thecontenterror.com, I'll do a free little webinar session and I can show them. It's pretty easy. I can walk them through everything that I did in more detail too. So that goes for anybody that's out there or listening to the recording or anybody that's live. If you want any more information, a lot of the stuff that we do is it's just a collection of 30 years of Young and I being in the industry, and I have to show you. It isn't documented in many cases. It may be in the developers, the developers guide, but I don't think so. Anything else?
Check. Don't see any other questions in the chat.
So Dustin, do you have any questions? Dustin was actually a customer of ours with Integrated Technologies. He worked for a Texas Engineering Extension Center, a University of, Texas A&M. And we did a project down there, so I got an opportunity to meet Dustin from a consulting standpoint.
Yeah, that was
a
decade ago.
Well, for you, that's a long time. When you get to my age, I'm 54, man. A decade's nothing. All right. Well, if there's no other questions, I'm going to let you go. But if you guys have any questions, feel free.
There was one question about your website. I think it's about your website, Tom, about things like SEO, tags, and security. I guess when we go into that question, that would bust our time here because we're in 7 minutes we start with the next presentation. So maybe Adam, you go into a conversation with Tom Aldous directly.
Okay, sounds good. So if you reach out to me, I'll talk you through any of that. Thank you so much, Stefan. It was a pleasure. Dustin, as always, it's a pleasure. Take care, guys. Enjoy the rest of the online conference.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us today, Tom, and thanks for everyone who attended the presentation. And please stay in the room. We're continuing in a few minutes with the next presentation.
Yeah, take care.
Thanks, Tom. Bye-bye.